So I wanted to talk a little bit more about Aaron Spencer. If you don't know the Aaron Spencer case, Aaron Spencer is the father from Lonoke County who shot the person that had his 14-year-old daughter in the vehicle with them. Now, that man did die from his injuries. So basically, because of that, Aaron Spencer was charged with second-degree murder, and there is an enhancement on that because Aaron Spencer used a firearm in the commission of that event. So with this case, something that I haven't really talked about before, I have mentioned it, but I haven't talked about it in detail before, is that the man that Aaron Spencer shot and killed, he was 67 years old at the time of his death. His name was Michael Fossler. Now, Michael Fossler had pending charges in Lonoke County. Those pending charges had to do with Aaron Spencer's child, his 14-year-old, the same child that was in the vehicle with Michael Fossler when Michael Fossler was shot and killed. And as a result of those charges that Michael Fossler was facing, there was an order of protection in place for that 14-year-old between Michael Fossler and that 14-year-old. He was to have no contact with that 14-year-old. Again, the same 14-year-old that he had in his vehicle at the time of his death. Michael Fossler was facing 42 counts against that 14-year-old that he had in his vehicle at the time of his death. So let's go through what those 42 charges were. Michael Fossler was charged with 2 counts of internet stalking of a child, 2 counts of 4th-degree SA, and 2 counts of sexual indecency with a child. He was charged with 1 count of computer CSAM. He was also charged with 36 counts of pandering or possessing medium depicting sexual conduct in a child. So that's 43 counts. 43 counts that this person, Michael Fossler, committed against or was charged with in relation to this 14-year-old. And first of all, I completely disagree with this 4th-degree SA. We're talking about a 14-year-old and a 67-year-old. Let's call it what it is. It's grape, right? It's grape. But more about what I wanted to actually make this video about, Aaron Spencer. So people in the comments on my last video, several of them said things like no jury would convict him. And honestly, I hope not. But the fact remains that he's being put in this position. He's being put in this position to where he's having to hire an attorney to formulate a defense, to try to fight these charges that are just utterly ridiculous. So ridiculous, in fact, not only that he was charged with second-degree murder whenever he was trying to protect his child, but then that the prosecutor decided, hey, not only do we want to charge him with second-degree murder, but we want to put an enhancement on that. So if he's convicted of second-degree murder, he's going to get even more time because he used a firearm in the commission of that quote-unquote crime, right? But the thing is, you didn't do all of that what were you doing, prosecutor, to protect the 14-year-old to begin with? What you did was you charged this man with crimes, you gave him a low enough bond that he could easily bond out of jail, and then you slapped him with a piece of paper and said, hey, this piece of paper says that you can't be around her. Fear the paper. When in reality, it was a piece of paper that meant nothing to him. So he went and connected with the 14-year-old again. So the court system, in my mind, and this is just how I'm viewing it, but the court system did not want to protect the 14-year-old, but the court system wants to protect Michael Fossler, who victimized the 14-year-old because now he has died as a result of, in my opinion, the inaction of the prosecutor to begin with. And really, in my opinion, it's not just the inaction of the prosecutor, it's the inaction of the state of Arkansas. Because I see it time and time again. It just seems like the state of Arkansas, in so many of these counties, cares more about protecting the child offender than protecting the child, right? It's just similar to how in some counties, family court is not, like, the purpose of family court is not to protect the interest of the child, it's to protect the interest of mainly the father, right? because family court really, truly, in so many ways, doesn't actually protect the interest of a child. It's protecting the father's ability to have a relationship with his children, and doesn't really care anything about protecting the child themselves or what the child even wants. I mean, that's just my take on it, but that's what I see happening like so often, which is stupid because who, in my mind, who is protecting the child? The one person that can't protect themselves. Who protects that person? So here we are in criminal court where once again a child was victimized. The child didn't get protected, but then when the father tried to protect the child, then they're charged with the crime. And I looked to like different cases right across the state of Arkansas. There was one I was reading about last night, actually. It is a man who, and I'm going to do a video on him, but a man who is a registered SMEX offender. He has been charged with internet stalking of a child not once, but now twice, and was already a registered offender before that point with being charged with fourth degree SA, which is basically a person over the age of 20 uh, having intercourse with a person under the 16. But this man was caught chatting with a child and was sentenced to 10 years in prison. And I'm laughing because it's so freaking comical that we want to call this justice, that we want to call a man who has now been caught for a third time being involved with children in that manner, but he got sentenced to 10 years in prison. And you got to know he's going to be out real quick. And we set up registries, right? We set up registries so people know this person is a registered SMEX offender. They have charges against children or what have you. I don't know, whatever the case is. But then whenever they don't register, like they're told to register, well, they get a slap on the wrist. And it's not just once or twice. I mean, they'll get a slap on the wrist several times before finally they're held responsible for not doing what they've been told to do. It to me, it's about the same as a person who is a felon. You're told not to have weapons, but you get caught with a weapon. Okay, so hold them responsible. If we're not holding them responsible, what's the reason for the law? If you're not holding a registered offender responsible, doing what registered offenders are supposed to do, you're giving them a little slap on the wrist and chance after chance after chance after chance. What is the reason for even doing the registry? Anyway, this is just my take on it and things that have been going through my mind in the last like 24, 48 hours since I saw that Aaron Spencer was actually being charged. It's just really gets me like riled up on the whole issue and why our children are being protected and why that's okay with so many people. If the state isn't protecting them, though, who's going to protect them? If parents are getting charged for protecting their children, then what are you supposed to do? Just let your kid be victimized? Because what happens if this man who was protecting his child uh, does get convicted and is sent to prison? I mean, thank God this girl has another parent, but some people don't. Some kids don't have other parents. So, like, what's supposed to happen to the child? Who protects the child?